Us starting. Okay. Hello, Ryan. How are you?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing absolutely amazing because it's sunny outside. There is a lake,
Yes.
welcome to our first episode
Yeah.
of Nail Business Before the Table, where we discuss everything the nail techs need to know before they get their license. First question I want to ask you is, today we're only going to talk about what is that one thing that they get when they are going to school that you feel they need to learn. But before we get there, let's talk about your journey that got you into deciding to get your license. Like what made you decide, you know what? I've been doing this. Let me get my license.
I was forced by God to get my license when I did. So a little backstory on me. I was a COVID baby, so I graduated in 2020. It was like we went to school one day in March and we never went back. And I just had a lot of free time on my hands. I was working at Sonic and I just was like, I need something else to do. And it was this girl on Instagram. She was based out of Atlanta. She had the bright idea of packing up nail kits and shipping them out to people who want to learn.
Hmm.
So I spent one of my Sonic checks on a nail kit, and I was like, I'm gonna do nails. So my stuff came in. I was practicing in my house. My dad kicked me out immediately because the smell was horrible. So I did my first two clients were my cousins outside. And then I just like started posting and like telling people, hey y'all, I'm doing $25 sets. That happened. So leading up and from about March to it was time for me to go away for college, I planned on bringing all my nail stuff with me to school, but my mom would not let me.
Hmm.
She wanted me to focus on, adjusting as a new, college student. And then, of course, COVID was high. So I, planned on doing nails out of my dorm. And she was like, it's a lot of people. So I didn't do nails for like a year. Fast forward, my roommate, when I moved into my first on campus apartment, she did hair and she had a lot of clients, a lot of traction. And she was like, you should, start doing nails in here with me. We could have a whole little salon going. And so that's what I did. I ended up doing nails on campus for about 3 years, almost 3 years, until we got a new building manager and she shut me down, shut shop down. It was prom week. It was a Friday, I believe. She was not the nicest. She was not lenient with me. She made me stop immediately. So my plan was to finish college first and then go to nail school because I just didn't want all the pressure on me. I wanted to use my financial aid, and my financial aid was tied into my college, university, and stuff. So when I had to leave off campus, I had to get a suite. So my dad is a barber, and he was like, "Okay, Ryan, you're gonna have to get your license because now you in a public environment. People could come,
Yes.
people could call the people on you now for real, and it's really when you're at home, you can kind of hide a little more rather
Mm.
than when you have a suite or you're in a salon. So that is what made me get my license. I did not intend on getting it when I did, but I had no choice, so I had to get my license while I was still enrolled in my university, which was pretty difficult, but I ended up finding out about BGM through another local nail tech. And I remember I signed up the same day she told me about it. Like it was my
I remember.
birthday. Yes, I called you and I was like, "Hey, I have the money. The class had already started." And I
Yes.
was like, "I'm willing to play catch up. Like I need to go ahead and get this done." So that was my journey and get my license.
Good old Brittany on the buff. Yes, I remember that phone call. I remember immediately you playing and getting in there, which your journey is a good one. And thank God that you was able to do it online and still
I
get
know.
everything done that you wanted to do. Well, with that, I think, we're gonna come from two different perspectives. Me
Yeah,
definitely coming from the perspective of school owner, but you coming from going to school less than, I don't know, 3 years ago, but also still being in the industry and having that take. One thing, like I said, I want to discuss today is what is that thing that you feel that they should focus on? And I would get this when they are in there. Like, what should I focus on while I'm in school? And your answer would be unique because one, you have the point of where you already been doing nails. So
right.
now you just doing nails ahead of time, then you went to school and now you're licensed and you're still doing nails. So if you was to do nails all over again in 2026, and if you was to get your nail license in 2026, what is one thing that you would do differently? And then what is something they should focus on while they're in school? So the first one first, and then
Okay. First thing I would say, my biggest piece of advice would be to stop trying to focus on being perfect and
mm,
use that time to be strategic. because I feel like when you're in school, it's kind of a happy medium. It's like, okay, you are allowed to quote unquote practice. So
Yeah,
you have more, I would say, felt better about advertising, if that makes sense. Because
yeah.
when I wasn't in school, I was like, okay, I'm posting, but it's like you're playing, it's kind of a risk. But when you're in school, you have that, on your shoulder. You're like, okay, I'm actually working towards that. I would say the biggest thing is to focus on the fundamentals. Find your specialty that you want to focus on while you're in school. If
Mhm.
you're like fresh out of the gate and you're not really familiar with anything, I would say use school to really put your best foot forward and find what you think you'll be the best at, whether that's Gel X, whether that's acrylic, if you want to be a toe specialist, if you want to do both, kind of find your niche first. And I would say just really focus on the fundamentals of whatever service you want to offer.
Well, with that, I agree. I think being on the school side too, that fundamental that I feel that they need to focus on first, which it's going to take them to understand it, but it's timing. And I know for me with that, that to me is the most key fundamental because I know that they're nervous. But if they don't, what I've been recognizing, if they don't pay attention to their timing, I've been pushing them more to look at your timing, practice this manicure, look at your timing. How long did it take you the first time, then the second time to see their growth? Because of course, when you get behind that table, you get comfortable with your friends, you're talking and you're not thinking about timing.
Hmm.
But still, being strategic, which was the first thing that you said, if I'm strategic with my timing, I can still have a conversation and get done and be
Right.
willing to move on and have other things to go in a place. And I know in the beginning, it's kind of hard for them because their minds are
Trying to be perfect.
trying to be perfect. Look, yeah, trying to be like, well, I want to get this right. Well, that's only going to happen with timing,
Right.
but if you think about, okay, well, what is my system and what I'm doing? Okay, first I got to make sure I'm pushing back the keyboard, I'm cutting the nails down, like I'm doing this. How much time will each one of those take? Then it would make more sense. So the fundamentals, but let's not miss being thinking about strategy. And strategy comes also down to table setup.
And the
Mhm.
fundamentals, I feel like once you are mastering the fundamentals, your time comes. Like, I don't think people realize that because doing nails becomes muscle memory. I don't
Yeah.
even kind of think about what tool I'm picking up. It's almost like, okay, I know what's next because I've been doing it for so long. And I'll also say that I felt like when I first started doing nails, like it was taking me it never took me more than 4 hours, I would say, on a more intricate set, but I would say after that 6-month mark of me doing nails every single day, no matter if I had a client, I was practicing on a mannequin, I was doing press-ons. After that 6-month mark, I feel like I got very comfortable and my time it got where it needs to be. Just by focusing on the fundamentals, I think. And with that, like I said, your time comes with that.
So when you say fundamentals, what are some of those things that
The fundamentals to me would
Mhm.
be prep because that's what I've been advertising lately on my social media is prep. Because if you don't have good prep, your nails aren't lasting, your clients are not going to come back. And that's your business within itself is getting new clients and getting your clients to return. Prep, I think the most time consuming thing will be application because if your application is sloppy, you're having to do a lot of shaping. I'm not having to do a lot of shaping. You know what I'm saying? I'm not buffing any nails. The most I do is debulk the free edge and do my sidewalls and follow free edge. That's all I'm doing. I'm
Yeah.
not having to do too much drilling. So that cuts a lot of time. That's why I say when I say fundamentals, I mean like mastering the basics. I always tell people to make sure that you're focusing on getting a clean prep routine that's time efficient but also effective. Your application, once you get that down, and I don't count beads. I tell people all the time, all that just kind of makes it too stressful for me. As long as you're putting enough acrylic to structure the nail properly, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
So once that application is mastered and it's clean, it's neat, I feel like that is really what cuts down the time. Because after that, it's just left for me to do the design. And that's also another muscle memory thing as far as drawing French tips or, doing different things like that. I feel like once you find those techniques, find those products that work for you, find the tools that work for you, the time, I'm telling you, it cuts down quickly. So,
And then what I'm still gonna go back to timing because I still
yeah.
like you still come back to timing, but
Yeah.
even with the muscle memory, that comes with practicing, definitely. So as we continue, as it's continuing to be done, you're gonna have to practice, you're gonna have to put in the time to do that. Well, what is one of the issues or what is one of the problems with those? while they're in school, why wouldn't somebody want to spend that time practicing? Is it because either they're focused on being perfect or they already think that they know it? Or I don't know. I guess that's a question I'm asking because I know that I could tell when students have not been practicing outside of coming to class.
I think that just has to do with if you want it or not. Because, like, I can see how some people like, for me, it was different because I wasn't in person,
Yeah.
and I feel like nails was also, like, a hobby of mine, truly. It wasn't something I was just doing to have
Mm.
a job,
Yeah.
but if you're in school in person, I could see how it may seem like, "Okay, well, you're doing nails all day at school, now I gotta go home and still practice." But it's kinda like you're gonna have to sacrifice those months of doing that to, be able to get good and master it and see the fruits of your labor. So I think that just comes down to if you want it or not.
Well, even if those that are virtually still don't do it on their own, it's not like okay, here's my issue right now. You've
Okay.
come through you've come through the school and everyone has this thing where they say, well, you don't learn nothing in school, you don't learn nothing in school. So I remember I asked the students, I was like, hey, what is more important, you understanding business or learning how to pass the exam? And everyone's like, learning how to pass the exam. I was like, it's either or. It's not I need to learn how to pass the exam so I can be successful. No, 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 no. Pick which one you want. Either you just want me to strictly focus on getting you to pass this exam, which to me is nothing, or
Yeah.
understanding business. Because if you know, okay, I'm not gonna answer that. But when everyone was heavy on passing the exam, and I'm thinking, well, y'all complain about schools don't teach you nothing but how to pass the exam, and you have somebody trying to teach you more. You're more concerned about passing the ex I don't know. It was a little bit of, once again, if you
This may be controversial, but you let me know how you feel about this.
okay.
I think that it is very important for people to at least play with nails for a few months up to maybe a year before enrolling in school.
That is not controversial. That is
Okay, okay, that's how I feel. And I know that we're gonna have some people that's like, well, you shouldn't be doing anything unless you're licensed. You have to have that hands-on experience before going into school because I feel like if not, the it makes it harder. It makes it harder. It's like I feel like school is supposed to correct whatever you're doing wrong, enhance what you're doing, help broaden, what you know. But I really think it's hard if you don't even know how to pick up a bead, if you don't even know how to paint a nail, like just to kind of have that knowledge beforehand, I think is very important. Very important.
I really don't feel that that's controversial. I completely
Okay.
the old me probably would have said that, but now that I've experienced what have I experienced owning the school,
Yeah.
I totally agree, and so much so, which is so weird and not weird, but right now, I literally spent the last 2 days restructuring my whole funnel. Because now the funnel, instead of sending them straight to an application or straight to an agreement, I'm offering a week's like, every other week, I'm doing a challenge of sorts. Basically, try the school before you do it, and it's, one thing that I was talking to you about is having this challenge, and they going through like an acrylic masterclass or a gel masterclass, either one, so they get a chance to actually one, can you participate in an online school? Because I'm really only structuring it towards people that are doing it virtually.
Uh-huh.
And you're able to show up in class 2 or 3 days a week. Are you able to get your homework done? Are you able to put this in and also learn the information virtually before you sign up for that? Because even though you were already doing it, you're very well managing your time. You still said it was difficult, and you maybe made it look easy, but in reality,
Oh, yeah, no, it was definitely hard. You know what I'm saying? Like my schedule around that time was consisted of me waking up about 5, 6 a.m., getting myself together, doing whatever homework I had for my university, studying for whatever I had. Then I would go straight to the library before class to try to knock out anything, turn stuff in for the day because being virtual in nail school, we had to have assignments every day due.
well,
So I was already doing that with one school, so now I gotta do it with two.
yeah.
I would get out of class at 4 o'clock, try to squeeze in 2, 3 people, and that goes back to time because if I wasn't, up to speed, I couldn't do that. But I still had to make money to pay for everything. And then get on my Zoom. I tried to hurry up and take my bath beforehand so that I could kind of, it was a lot. It was a lot, but it was doable. It was doable.
Yeah, once again, that goes back to discipline as well. But, let's not lose that focus of there is, and I think with anything, and some people wait. would say, and I would have said it before, no, you don't need to be practicing outside of this because, you need your license. But once again, if you had your driving, you gotta practice driving
You
before
have
you
to.
get your permit. Because how
Yes.
you gonna get your permit if you
Yes.
don't know how to drive? Like, you have to do something first, and I really like, that kind of narrative needs to be changed, that
Yes.
people need to have something because at least this way, school, yes, needs to enhance, needs to help you make them, correct some of the mistakes that you aren't really seeing, or those folks is like, "Well, I just need to oh, I need to make sure I learn sanitation." Wash your hands. Like, that's why I be wanting to be like, "Just wash your
Yes.
hands."
Hand
Like,
sanitizer. Yes.
but I'd be like, when people like, "Well, I mean, I really just wanna know how to do infection control." I'm like, "That's the easy part. What
Yeah.
clean up. Like, that's not that hard." You need to, and also understanding that I wanna come and I need to get the 3 beat or the 1 beat method. No, you need to lay that foundation good so you're not spending a whole month filing the fingernails down for a shape that you didn't get. So getting them to come, if you're starting school in 2026, coming just getting rid of all of the myths or all of what you think you may know,
Yes.
you'll have some kind of ground level
Idea. Yeah.
ideal and hands on. Maybe you picked up a brush. So there is that difference between those that have no knowledge and are completely green, which can be a good thing because are you not correcting mistakes versus those that come with something and you're like, I mean, ain't
So
gonna lie.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Okay, I know how I did it and I explained, but what would you recommend to someone that is, like you said, want to go to nail school in 2026? It doesn't have to be in January. So, what with the information we just gave you, maybe if you plan on going to nail school in 2026, your New Year's time frame will be to start practicing with nails. But what would you tell them, like, what resources would you tell them to go about, or like, how would they go about knowing what products to get? Like, what would you encourage them to do before, like, for the time to just kind of practice before making this transition to enroll into school?
Honestly, if it was me, and
Hmm.
because I know me, and I would suggest this with anyone, find someone that they trust that's currently doing, even if it's their nail tech. If they're
Hmm.
getting their nails, hopefully they got their nails done and ask their nail tech. And that's what I did. Ask their nail tech, can I watch you? Can you teach me something? And honestly, that is really what I did. My nail tech was Miss Deborah. And I was like, teach me how to do this. Because I went to school and then 30 years ago, at the school when I went, it was literally 6 weeks. So please believe we didn't learn anything, but Miss Deborah taught me what I needed to know to go to school. So I would say get with someone first that
Okay.
you trust, be it your nail tech or anyone else that you know that is doing something that you want to do. I don't care if it's gel, a spray, acrylic, I don't care whatever it is. Get with that person and ask them to teach you one-on-one. I would not suggest a full class. I just wouldn't. I would, and then as far as payment, I would offer one double whatever they're getting paid per hour of, so if they're getting, say their full sets are $125, it takes them an hour. Offer at least $300 for that personal class time. And I'm saying for that hour. Now, if you want more than an hour, you would either go back there, like start with that first point of doubling their hours amount, and then maybe just say, okay, 4 hours is going to be like $500. So I would invest because here's the thing, if you're really gonna do it and then even go out and charge, like you said, you did 25-hour sets. Okay, that's what, 8 people? Maybe, even if it's 10 people, but that's 10 times you practiced,
Yeah.
right? And so you can still make that money back. And I ain't gonna lie, I always tell people, I don't give a dang if you licensed or not, you better charge because I'm not doing nothing for free. Like, and
You have to pay for the products.
you gotta pay for the products. So that's what I would encourage other folks to do. I just don't go to these big classes that say they teaching all this stuff because you don't need it and you're not gonna do it. That's what I'm saying. What I'm Someone's still having a class and they're teaching acrylics and nail art and so first of all, like you said, learn the fundamentals, screw nail art, honey, paint the nails a color and throw some glitter on it in the beginning. But you gotta know how to lay that foundation
Yes.
because you can put nail art over crap and it will look okay. But you gotta
A whole bunch of charms and stuff. Yeah.
exactly. Honestly, that's what I would encourage someone to do, get with somebody else. And then what that also does is that helps build their community. Because this is it's a lonely sport, is what I like to call it.
Yeah.
Unless you got somebody else with you, it's a lonely sport out here. There's nobody else you could talk about nails with unless they do nails, and it's kind of rare. It's
And
really
I agree because I didn't have that. I didn't have any, actually, in my city. No one was doing nails besides the nail shops. And that's why I struggle so bad because but now I guess a whole bunch of people. But back then no one was doing nails. I did not have anybody that I could go to or ask. I didn't have a nail tech. I was going to the nail shop and I hated it. So you know what I'm saying? And they're not gonna teach for real. So if you do have access to someone like that, that would have saved me a lot of time and a lot of money on just even so much as knowing what products to buy. Because you waste your money on all this Amazon stuff for no reason.
Trash. It's it's so trash. It is so trash. And then I think that also gets them upset because then they don't
It gets them discouraged. Yes, and because I can't I tell them that all the time, it's like, I get the idea that you wanna spend the least amount of product on products right now because you're practicing and you're messing up, but what people don't realize is the cheap products make it harder to learn. If you go ahead and invest in a nice acrylic powder, I'm telling you, you will be able to master it a lot faster than these other like, than anything or just investing in a good brush, or investing in a quality monomer, it's like, spend the extra $15, $20. I'm telling you, it makes the difference.
and then understanding definitely how they're gonna get it back. I know I spoke with some of the other techs and about just understanding their money,
Mhm.
but it's an investment, especially if it's even if it's an investment to know if you wanna do it or you don't wanna do it, but it's still, some kind of
You
investment
tried.
and you tried and have that longevity and know that you're willing to invest in yourself. Oh, well, then question for you. You taught one-on-one classes.
Yeah.
When you teach those one-on-one classes and comparing those to those who have these huge classes that are out here trying to teach the masses, and I feel that folks don't learn anything in that 8-hour day is just too much for the brain. But in a one-on-one class, how long should a class be? And I'm not talking just within a day, but should they be a series of classes or should it be a day? Like, what would you think would be the ideal timing that somebody could offer a class or should take a class from somebody with one-on-one?
So the way I structure mine is basically based off of that person. I have it to where it's split up in 2 days, but based off of day 1, I can kinda gauge how it needs to go from then on. So I had a few students to where I'm like, "Okay, we're gonna use," and I try to do them on the weekends just because that works for other people's schedules, but it's been times where I'm like, "Okay, you're gonna have to come back next weekend too." It's just like, I don't wanna rush you, and I also want you to make sure I want you to feel confident, So if but I have had some people that catch on pretty quick, and the 2 days is enough. So I have them come from, 4 hours each day, with a lunch break each day, and I've had some people that that's enough. And then whatever other questions they have, they'll contact me, FaceTime, this, that, and the third. But I've had some people where I've had to be like, "Okay, day 1, we only got through" you know, application,
Yeah.
and we need some more time. So I think that it's not a one size fits all program. I feel like they have to be one on one so that you can ask me everything and I can actually look at what you're doing and give you the feedback you need rather than it be a group of people and I'm having to kind of like spread my eyes everywhere and then it's like, okay, boom, I missed that you didn't wipe off your brush and and you're wondering like why you're not able to get it.
Yeah.
So it's not just like a tailored program, it's based off of the person, and I really don't know how it's gonna go until after day 1.
Well, that is good, but unfortunately, that isn't for everyone.
Right.
Making sure that it's not myth what you said. Let me rephrase it. If you're going to go find someone that you're going to do it one on one, make sure that they at least ask you where you are, have an understanding of where you are, have some
Yeah.
kind of intake system to know where you are in your journey and what you can offer. So then that way they should have an idea of how long it's going to beforehand. And then maybe even when you come in there after. And also not miss that you said they may have to come back next weekend, not tomorrow, because it takes that time to
Yeah.
process
Yeah.
what was done. And if you just were able to understand some kind of bead control,
Yes.
then you need to be practicing that bead control within this week so that could be has some level of mastery, regardless if it's at the very low level. But that way you come back, we have something else to build upon instead of trying to do it the next day when that frustration level is still there.
And that's kinda how it is in school too. You get about a week for each skill to
Yeah.
kinda, master. So I think that's also a good I didn't even think about it like that. But yeah, I can't get you to come tomorrow because the 2 days back to back is already a lot.
Yeah.
So yes, the week does get kind of and that also lets me know if you're practicing, and when you come back. So and I'm honest with my students. I'm like, look, if you're not gonna you have to work on it every day. And I tell them that is when I saw progress when I was doing something every single day. I didn't get better until I was doing it every day.
That's true. So let's end with this. Here's the thing, getting them to understand what nails is, meaning when you're going into school, knowing that it's something that does take practice. I know from years of doing this that people think it's just something that they could just pick up a brush and do. And trust me, because they get so frustrated with themselves, not understanding why I can't get it. It is a science, it is a chemistry, but what could you leave the audience with to understand that no, you cannot that's like saying you just gonna wake up in the morning and turn a cartwheel, you ain't never stretched before in your life, right? It's kind of the same thing, but what could you get them to, how can you help them knowing that yes, it's going to be frustrating, but this is really what nails learning how to do nails or becoming great at doing nails. What can you tell them to also keep them inspired and motivated to go even when it seems like it's harder than what they expected?
I would say it's always gonna be a drive for you. Like, what is your drive to get you to want to learn how to do nails? Are you sick of your job? Are you sick of your situation? Are you like whatever it is that's why you do nails? I feel like once you master it and get through this hard part, that the future is gonna be a lot more pretty than what you're dealing with right now. The luxury of this life is unmatched. And I feel like from a college grad, fresh college grad, I haven't applied to one job. And I just want them to know that it gets better and it's worth the frustration. It's
Yeah,
worth the sacrificing for those few months. And it's not that long that it takes for you to get. Now I'm not saying you're gonna be an artist in a year,
yeah,
but you are gonna see the progress a lot faster than you think if you put in the work. And nothing hard, I mean nothing, fulfilling comes easy. And I would just say also don't compare yourself to people who have been doing something for years. You know what I'm saying? You cannot go on Instagram and look at these people pages who have been nail techs for 5, 6 years and think that your work is going to look like that. When you're a beginner, you need to advertise yourself as a beginner
yeah.
and enjoy the process, enjoy the journey, document it, start a series. Like people like to see that. So just understand it's a season. It's not going to be the whole thing. The ending goal is worth it. I love it. The life is great. Yes, you just have to stay the course. But
Yeah, I like all of that. That's even more conversations, like especially documenting your journey, understanding all of that, and being able to grow. Definitely for me, I'm just gonna piggyback off what you said. The luxury of this life, being a licensed nail technician has done more for me than having a master's degree. So I can't even like I don't even tell people people don't even know I have a master's degree. Like it doesn't even freaking matter. But it's opened more doors for me than being an educator, being a personal trainer, like, just the possibilities are endless,
yes.
so yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me this life.
You're so welcome, you're so welcome. Alright, you guys, thank you for listening, and go ahead and look down in the description below for all the wonderful links that we have for you, and until next time.
Bye.